Live streaming is on.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Good evening to you if you're coming from Africa or Italy, where Daniele's from, or many other areas. I already see people joining here that they're Ethiopia and all kinds of places around the world. So thanks so much for joining us on another World from Here. And today we've got another great one in store for you. You know, companies are grappling with how to force people to get back to work, even though in the past, over the last year, tech companies have had banner years, and technology and productivity have skyrocketed. So I think there's a new paradigm that needs to be changed, and we've got some solutions for you we want to talk to you about here today. And I'm joined by Tim Vasco, who's the Chief Executive Officer of BlockSearch Blockchain. Good morning to you there, Tim.
Morning, Dan. It's great to be here, as always, on a Friday morning live.
It is, and good to see you with the week you've had. And then also Daniele Minci, who is the president of Fusion Funder and Fusion STX. Good evening to you, Daniele, coming from Italy.
Hey Dan, come stai? Tutto bene?
Exactly what you said. And I'm Dan Gay, Chief Marketing Officer of BlockSearch Blockchain. And as always, very excited to be here with you. And before we get started, if you haven't joined our community here on YouTube, click on the little button that will allow you to join us. And then also click on a thumbs up if you would. So please subscribe. We continue to build and grow on this channel and on our other channels on Telegram, etc. So thanks for joining us. But with that, Tim, tell us a little bit about what happened this week. I know Apple, there was a big bite that was taken out of Apple and what they did.
Yeah, about Apple's new project of, hey, everybody's got to come back to work bites, so to speak. And so, I think the employees said, bite this, Apple. And basically, the CEO, Tim Cook, said to 137,000 employees, you got to come back to work. You got to be in an office and so forth, and by September. And it's interesting. It kind of got us going this week, Dan, about, well, what really is this new world from here, this work and this WFH? Like, what is the world from here? And ironically, world from here also stands for work from home, right? Right. And so WFH, hashtag WFH, just remember that and click on the thumbs up. The pandemic and so has taught us so much about so many things. I found it ironic when I read some of the commentaries. One article I just loved was Apple just canceled the future, right?
Right.
And for a company that's supposed to be an innovations company, and really was
progressive,
it really was, and I will use that in past sense. I think we're going to see this idea of BC AC, right? And BC being before COVID and AC being after COVID. And what's that after effect look like? That's what we're going to talk about today. And how that all ties into technology. Obviously, technology is what kept the world going, as you said, banner years and in tech and so forth. But this idea of work from home is one that's a big one. And when a company says, well, we really enjoy that culture and so forth. Well, let's look at some of the big driving motivations behind this. I can't remember how many billions of dollars that Apple complex cost, and it's new.
Right.
It's brand new. So obviously you got a big investment. Let's just call it what it is. There's a huge investment in real estate there. I was talking to somebody, and I can't remember who it was, honestly. Somebody that is in the commercial real estate business, and one of the largest developers in the world, or commercial real estate developers in the world and owners, was going all in, buying a bunch of stuff up in New York City, right?
Wow.
So they're going all in, and this bet is that everybody's going to come back to work and it's going to be just like it was. Probably not. Like, the estimate that 25 to 30% of the workforce will be working from home multiple days a week by the end of 2021. Think about that, 25 to 30%. And that's a guess. And the other side of this is culture. Like, how do you establish this idea of culture tying in? We, as people know, BlockCerts has grown immensely since our beginnings of getting into the blockchain back in 2014, 15, 16, and we've become a completely virtual company. People thought we were crazy. What is this about? You can't really build a company like that. Turns out you can. And turns out that people really like it. They like being around these situations. In fact, statistics are showing people are actually working a bit too much, and they're not disconnecting. But productivity and culture, yes, that's definitely something you have to work at. But it's a new world too, right? And I really
think world you have to figure out new things, right?
Right. Yeah. And so, one of the comments was, do we really need all this extra time in the car and all this extra pollution and so forth, right? And so it's not just us talking about this. McKinsey & Company has a great website. I just happened upon this in doing the research this week, and it's about, it accelerated the existing trends in remote work. And I think it's really important to think about that. This idea of where the cloud was, Cloud 2.0 and Cloud 2.0 SaaS software and technologies, is where we were. And then, like, the pandemic compressed everything into this 18-month period and brought us to a world of, well, we need to be fully digital. We can be fully digital. But with that, the risks and the obvious problems of identity, authentication, and so forth came in. And that's kind of where we ended up when we started really rolling out on our platform authenticated access from anywhere, right? This whole idea of what really is a wallet. And Daniela, you were talking about that just before the webinar here. Like, what really does this wallet thing do, right? It's more than just like holding a cryptocurrency. It's so much more if it's got that back end kind of logistical and capability behind it.
Absolutely. Let's fast forward 10 years from now, and then we come back to 2021. So what is happening at the moment is that in blockchain, we have different layers of technology. So the bottom part is called the settlement layer. So Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other blockchain operates at this level, kind of the foundational technology. BlockCerts is one of these. And is exceptionally, so what's gained there is that you have transactions that happen. And right now, thanks to new protocol, there are cross-chain transactions that happen across different blockchains. But what companies, protocols like PayPal, Square, they are building interfaces that are completely transparent to what settlement layer you use. You can use banking, so fiat, US dollar, euro, whatever, but you can use crypto, you can use tokens, you can use anything. And you can guess what is the name of this interface. Because so far we don't have it. It does not exist. We call it online banking, we call it credit card, we call it Cash App,
Yeah. Venmo.
We can summarize this in one single name, that is the wallet. So essentially, the moment you have a wallet that is cross-chain, that is cross-currency, essentially you just have to choose how you top up your wallet and then how you spend it, because whatever Web 3.0 interface will connect to your wallet to allow transaction to happen. So, and now I'll come back to 2021. In 2030, it will be absolutely normal. In 2021, people feel to digest and to understand what a wallet is. But the wallet is essentially the interface that any of us can customize to get access to financial transaction as anyone decides to. So what we have engineered, within the BlockCerts ecosystem is to enable the very first I call it non-clunky interface, because traditional wallets, in my humble views, are very clunky, so to say. So the goal of the BlockSearch wallet is to enable smooth interactions with the ecosystem, obviously, of BlockSearch. And the more we develop the ecosystem, the more touch point will be also with external interfaces and with additional verticals that we build on top. But the wallet is essentially the interface that enable any type of financial transaction to happen within an ecosystem. And it's not, it's not MetaMask. MetaMask is just one hot wallet that allow only to deal with Ethereum. That it's a very narrowed definition of what a wallet can do, which is way broader.
And you
which
know,
is
you bring
also,
up. Go ahead.
If I could, Tim, I was just going to say, which is also the perception in crypto of what a wallet is, because that's all people know. And outside of crypto, individuals don't really understand and know what a digital wallet is. So that's what's amazing about this. It's kind of like if we were going to talk about the iPod or a smartphone 2 years before that actually came out.
Right.
It's a new way of doing things. Go ahead, Tim. Sorry.
And when you bring that up, you start thinking about this idea of, well, what do I want to do? Like, really, what do I need to do today? Now, maybe I do need to go to work. Maybe I need to go into an office or have a physical meeting. Maybe I don't. The reality is the mandate is no longer there. The mandate is no longer there to get on an airplane to do international, globally connected business. These kinds of comforts that we had in seeing somebody face to face, going into a room, you could actually authenticate that way. That was a form of authentication. Like, yeah, that's actually Daniele. It's not some deep fake video or somebody that I don't really know has a true kind of global identity. Then what do I need to do with that, Daniele? Do I want to go build a new model for capital for my business through Fusion Funder, or deal with transitioning my business into having access to some kind of funds, or grow it with investors or things like that. So where do you need to work today is really going to always start here. And think about this, like your morning commute becomes, well, where do you go to first, right? With complete authentication and access. That wallet is like your passport, your digital ID card to get in to where you need to work. And because we've authenticated that, your ID certain, then you can get into that workspace and you can now go to work with those people like we're doing right now. And I go and I look at, like, Jules was on just before this call supporting this. We've got our channel here for our partners environment where our world from here model evolves. And we got the people we work with right here, all of them. And just before the call, our typical SaaS pirate was in his car with his kids saying, hey, everything's ready to go. You're good to go. I just arrived at golf camp for my kids. I mean, how cool is that? He's on this channel and he's taking his kids to drop them off at golf camp. Are we really going to take that away? Is that really, really what we want to take away from families and from flexibility? That's culture. So Tim Cook, that's culture. Not the buzz that you can hear in the office, the culture about being able to do this mythical thing that people have talked about for ages, which is called work-life balance.
Yeah.
Right.
Can I add a piece there? So, and the more I talked about this subject, the more I realized that it has not been addressed so far by, let me say in brackets, the crypto movements or the blockchain movements. And I give you very simple example. It's quite common for people to buy and hold Bitcoin, for example. That's not a financial advice, but again, it's pretty common. 100 million or so have Bitcoins, okay? And very misleading people talking crypto, influencers or whoever, speaking crypto language, they're saying there are 100 million wallets holding Bitcoin. So, which assume that 100 million people have their own wallet, right? That is wrong.
Right.
That is wrong. It's
Right.
super wrong. Why? Because if I'm buying Bitcoin, for example, on Coinbase or on Binance, and I have, let's say, 1 Bitcoin for simplicity, it's a lot of money, and I'm hold 1 Bitcoin, then I'm talking to my friends and say, hey, I have a wallet on Coinbase. I don't have a wallet on Coinbase. I just have a view, which is telling me I own a Bitcoin.
Right.
But the wallet is the wallet of Coinbase because Coinbase hold the private keys. I don't own that Bitcoin. It's like I owe you. So Coinbase own me a Bitcoin, but I don't own a Bitcoin. That's a difference.
And that's a huge point, Daniele. When you talk about this, and this is this kind of new jargon that we're going to have to get used to, this new idea of what technology actually is. What is utility? I can't do anything with most things on blockchain today. With a Bitcoin, it's a, as you say, store of value that somebody owes me, but it's uninsured. It doesn't have any of the infrastructure around it that traditional banking systems and things have accumulated to over the years. It is I have to trust Binance like I trust my bank, that when I have money in the bank, I can get it out. And I read an article, this is maybe something we'll do on a future world from here, about what, and we go 10 years in advance again.
Right.
What does a bank run look like? A run on the bank look like when all the central banks have digital currencies? What does it look like? You won't be exiting. You won't be going to the door and knocking on the bank and seeing these big, like, Depression era bank runs. What you'll be seeing is, which country's currency do I believe is going to get devalued the least? That's what you're going to see. And when you have this functionality and you control this, you're making that decision. You're holding that asset, not some, you're making so it actually could be better than, especially with this flood of new, an entire new monetary model that nobody really knows what's going to happen.
Well, you have more control, right, Tim? If
You
in
have
your
more-
wallet, you have different places that you can go within your wallet, and you spread your risk in different places, you have more control.
Exactly. So it's a big conversation, but back to Daniele's point, it's utility. It's like, now I have something that I actually can manage what and where I connect to, and that it's me, it's mine. I'm certified and I can control these things, which is why we keep saying you're in control, not some centralized authority that really could do anything. I mean, we've heard the stories, right, Daniele? Tons of stories about, hey, there was some CEO that just went and vanished, and there goes all the whole Mount Gox was the first one in crypto, right?
Yeah,
dozens of them.
Yeah, Mount Gox. There's many stories about it, and so I don't want to, bad press. Binance, Coinbase, what I just mentioned. The key point is that so if you leave your tokens, your coin, into the exchange wallet, you just have a view. You don't own technically those tokens, so anything can happen. Then if you're aware of this risk, so anything can happen. So the next day you try to log in and say access denied, and you're fine with that, that's okay. Instead of, for example, on holding your tokens in a cold wallet, in a physical wallet. So what we are envisioning here from now to 2030 and back to 2021 is that the wallet interface and the usability and the user experience of the wallet, how you hold your assets into the wallet, it's critical to drive, I don't want to call it mass adoption, but a better adoption. So one of our key concern is making sure, first of all, people understand what a wallet is about and how to use the wallet in an optimal fashion, either if you're a newbie or you're an experienced user. While in crypto as a whole, there is an assumption you have to be a geek to understand how a wallet works, which exclude 98% of the people that are not geek.
That's right. That's right. And
Tim, I heard you say that BlockCerts is the Wix of blockchain, and I mean that's a key point, is that simplifying it so for the masses, so that everybody can use it.
So everybody can use it. Like, does everybody really want to know what this deep underlying technology is? It's fascinating to those of us that do it every day. It's challenging for us to take that technology and make it easy to use. But guess what? It's hard to make a smartphone too.
Right.
But you use it every day, and it was made easy. And that's the brilliant stuff that Apple really brought to the forefront. So again, as we say, there are conditions and great reasons for these infrastructures, like exchanges or like software companies that have these things to exist and work and build and innovate and create a better world. But who has the power and the control, and what can you do with that? And then how do we integrate that into both the technical systems and the social systems we have to work with, right? How do we do that? And so, traveling on, we get into this idea of travel post-vaccine. And as it says here, you will travel. Of course you will travel. But what does that travel look like? What's that actually going to be about? And this is some interesting stats on that 75% of the respondents say, yeah, we're going to travel. We're going to take trips and things like that. And 71% are anxious to attend indoor events, like big mass gatherings again, right? So again, it's going to be this idea of kind of bringing that digital power with us, right?
Right.
And back to Daniele's point, how can I be completely in control and transportable, whether it be through the digital connection or the physical connection, so that we have, from what we've learned with this pandemic, better opportunities to travel, to move around, whether that be digitally or physically, right? And so ideas like the idea of integrating all of these into a passport. You're starting to see this health passport on Monday this week, another big week. The border of Canada finally opened to Canadian citizens. And there was a flood of Canadian citizens that have literally not been able to come back to the country without a 2-week quarantine, even if they were double vaxxed. So now what you have is this idea that this double vaccine, this authentication of being vaccinated, you can enter the country, and as is being said out there, you're welcome with open arms. Of course, we want that kind of economic freedom and things coming into countries. While at the same time this week, you saw what happened in Japan and the emergency meeting in Japan around the Olympics, which locked it back down. They opened up too soon, big spikes in COVID cases. Now they're locking the Olympics down. Before, there were going to be no international spectators, but there would be in-country spectators. Now there's no spectators, right? So this idea of the bouncing ball of going into events, getting on an airplane, things like that are going to be very, very linked to this idea of this vaccine passport. And how are you going to have that vaccine passport and those apps, all those different apps that are going to have to be in your hand? How are you going to deal with that? If you don't have it in one place, you're going to have to get it somewhere, because this is reality. Today, in our wallet, in the BlockCerts wallet, we can take an airline ticket that can be validated right in there. There's a QR code that gets you on the plane. You can take and upload your vaccine verified COVID test negative. Your passport can be verified. All of that already existed over here because of the security procedures. This is just one more layer. And where is it sitting? It's in my wallet, right? My notifications are in my wallet through my I am certain. I get a push notification. Your plane's delayed. Your bags are here. You know, those kinds of things were already evolving pre-COVID. Now what we've got is this idea of paying for it, multi-factor authentication. I paid for the ticket with my wallet. I put my COVID documents up there and I verified this is where I got them. This is how I know they're not falsified. I've got my payment mechanism. What payment type of payment did I use? Think about that. Now I can use my digital payments, right? For something that's like an airline ticket. Perhaps I can do that. So it's not just 10 years in the future. We're talking about 18 months.
Yeah.
We're talking about 12 months. We're talking about the future. We're talking about these connections coming. But where are they going to come to? They're going to come to that control you have, or somebody else tries to build a big centralized model around. Guess what? That centralized model won't work anymore.
Yeah, which Tim, you know, you might explain a little bit about it, key, and you know what China is doing versus what this is, because this protects your identity, it protects what's important to you, but also you're able to access events and other things, and versus China that is watching everything that you're doing.
Well,
and tracking everything.
In China, there's an app that's really big called WeChat. And I researched it and did the work around it years ago, 2015, 2016. And I think the important thing that I want to point out here is just like Netflix, if you think of this wallet and you think about what all you can do in it, this is like your TV remote control. You know, you're having access to all kinds of entertainment options. You're streaming, but on the back end, there's this massive infrastructure at Blocksearch that's enabling all these global connections. Like that's what took the millions of man hours to actually, or person hours to do this, right?
To make it,
and it's also independent by the operating system.
That's right. It does.
Yeah.
So when you get on the wallet download, that's a good point, Danielle. You get on the wallet download, you're looking at Windows, you're looking at iOS, you're looking at Android, you're looking at Linux for the real geeky guys, right?
No, I just want
Red Hat.
I'm getting addicted right now with in the blockchain with the cross-chain fashion and approach, because I'm getting close to be pissed with Apple as a whole. With all the devices I'm using. I'm very close. Not yet. I'm very close. So, and the moment I want to switch,
you can join all those employees.
Right.
But
add your name to the list.
No, but if I have an Apple Wallet, and let's say I'm used to make transactions on the Apple Wallet because I have credit card, I have my airline tickets, I have everything in there. If I switch my operating system, I'm gone.
You're toast.
So all this, I have to, reset up everything from scratch on another interface, whatever. I don't want to do that. I just want to work cross-chain or cross-application, cross-operating system.
That's right.
That's a great point.
And I don't want to be tied up with any centralized body. I mean, security, it comes on top. I don't think people, so the average user, have a real perception of what does it mean compromising data to comply with GDPR or whatever. So that's, I do see as a big plus. I don't think it will be something very easy to understand. But what is key for me is that I don't want to be dependent by a brand in dealing with my data, in dealing with my financial transaction. I want to be free to choose. If I want to do everything with Apple, fine. If I want to switch to Google, to Android, I'm doing it. I don't want to tie it up with a single brand. And that's, to me, the biggest plus of having a wallet or a cross-functional wallet that can deal with all these type of transactions in in a decentralized manner.
Well, and when you think about, and this is one of the things that people miss about technology, the reason a lot of these technologies evolved, there are actually about 15 people, maybe we'll do this on a world from here, that actually were the founders of the internet, the guys who actually invented it. Mm-hmm. Everybody remembers Tim Berners-Lee, but there's about 15 of them. And I can share a chart of what each one of these did. And this was supposed to be an idealistic, ARPANET was supposed to be an idealistic logic. It was started, I think, by, I want to say, I can't remember which president started it. Eisenhower or one of those?
Yeah, it was like 1966 or...
Yeah, 1969 was the first message that went across the internet. 1969, think about that. And it crashed, by the way.
Right.
It did crash. And there was one node on the network. So this idea of networked nodes and this idea of technology has been around for a very long time. And the reason the internet was created was the mandate, it was military. It was in the event of a nuclear cataclysmic war, communication channels stay open. So think about the foundation all the way back to why the internet was created. Now, we take that back up here to 2021. And what we're doing and dealing with is this whole idea of communication channels remaining open no matter what. That's cross-chain. That's cross-technology platform. Now, why is that so absolutely critical? Because we've got a lot of infrastructure that's already established out there. We're not going to rewrite the entire air traffic control and airline system. We're not going to rewrite the entire banking system. There's billions, trillions of dollars of infrastructure already established. So, number one. Number two, because of all of this learning we've done in technology, speed, efficiency, security, all those things we need to think about, how fast a transaction can happen, how securely it can happen, those are all really well established in a lot of these systems. But some operating systems do it better than others. That's just reality. Some operating systems behind the scenes function way better at this thing than that thing. It's the same with blockchains. Like the Bitcoin blockchain, for what it does, is extremely efficient for mining and creating a limited cryptocurrency called Bitcoin. It was a single application chain created to prove this could be done, and it's done it at exceptional levels without ever a crash. There's never been anything broken on it.
And since 12 years.
Yeah.
Which is pretty awesome. Because not like, there are plenty of protocols, plenty of tokens or assets built since 1 year. So in case you hack, let's say using quantum computing, fast forward, right, and you hack a block, or you hack all the blocks being produced so far, let's say 1 year history, you have a lot of computing power, you hack it, so it's gone. But to do with Bitcoin, so let's say you hack a block newly minted, then you have to go back in history. So you have to hack 12 years of the Genesis block in order to hack a protocol. That's why, Bitcoin is by far, by an order of magnitude, the most secure across, the top mainstream digital assets, is because it has 12 years of history.
Right. And we're talking about this internet, the same IP protocol, internet protocol, IPs. That's what IP addresses mean. Internet protocol was started and first sent a message in 1969. The number of nodes now are in the billions, if not trillions out there. And every website is a node. That's the wallet. Every person, every individual from here going forward, from their work to their life, to their entertainment, to their travel, to their identity, is capable of being a node as easily as putting a IM on your smartphone and picking up and getting into the messaging system. That's inclusion. That's the ability. Now, when we have that and we have this cross-chain, cross-technology protocol in our hand, if we actually have that in our hand and no centralized authority is there, you're a lot closer to why this internet came out in the first place.
Right.
You're a lot closer to that. It was never, oh, well, you know what? Let's go get 5 big companies and have them consolidate around this and control our lives. And Dan, earlier you said the Chinese government. Well, if you're a country and you're a government and that's how your politics work, that's one thing. That's one thing.
Correct. Yeah.
That's that side of the world. But I bet you like Alibaba doesn't feel too good about the fact, or Tencent or all these guys, that the government's now nationalizing their companies.
No. Yeah.
Right?
All their payment systems. Correct.
What was the guy that just got put in jail? The media guy. I mean, these are the kinds of things that are the freedoms we've always held in the Western side of the world as being pretty essential to how we want to live, right?
Right. And that's why it's important that everyone understands that there's a public-private key.
Right.
So that your information, your wallet is not shared with everyone. You choose to share that. That's right.
And I think when you start looking at things, we're going to move on to events like 7 ways events will change in a post-COVID world. What are those ways? Well, there's going to be this idea of, again, are you vaxxed? Are you not? Is this a vaccine-only event? Can you even buy a ticket? Can you buy that ticket to that event if your COVID test is negative and your vaccine is verified, right? What does that look like? And you're starting to see this. This is in New York State. Only fully vaccinated people can attend large events at a venue, art park, right? So now we're talking about that idea. Well, what platform does Art Park run? Do they run Microsoft, Apple, Oracle, SAP? Do we care? Like, honestly, do we actually care? You're going to an event. You want to enjoy it. You want to be secure. You want to be safe. Do you care what event that the World Tour, Stockholm Music Hall, what technology on the back end they run? No, you don't care. You also don't care which compression algorithm and encryption algorithm Netflix is running so you can stream a movie. You want to stream a movie, right?
Yeah, you just want to be able to use your cell phone, your smartphone.
Yeah. When was the last time you got on an airplane and said, gee, I really wonder which engine manufacturer and which landing gear company created this plane before we take off? I'm going to find that out. Now, I'm sure there are some engineers out there that find that fascinating.
They want to know.
With the millions of miles I've traveled, I don't think I've ever really asked that. I just kind of assume that those mechanics did their jobs and those guys up front know how to fly the plane. That I'm pretty happy about, trusting that brand, Delta, or United, or whoever it happens to be, Southwest. Hey, hope you trained these guys and took care of that airplane. I'm not going to ask you much more than that, right? Same thing here. We want to know that we've been vaccinated, that we can get into this event, and the technology behind all that. Hey, great for you geeks that love it. Tim, go to town, have you fill your boots with technology geek speak and all your developers and things like that. Daniele, you go to town and go figure out all that. I just want to buy a ticket, okay? I just want to go listen to some music.
I want to go to a concert.
I want to go to a concert and rock out, right? And I want people to know that when I walk in that concert, I am who I say I am. I'm not packing guns and I'm not packing COVID. I am safe. I am a safe participant there to do the same thing everybody else is there. Enjoy this concert, right? How cool is that?
Yeah,
how cool is that? Really?
It's a frictionless experience.
It's frictionless. And that's a really good way to put it.
A wallet, we should envision this as a new user interface for a frictionless experience, because at the end of the day, it's all about that. And I think I mean, we are early in the journey right now.
Very
So
much.
if you remember, back in, I think, March 2020, I think we shot one of the first Word from Here talking about the COVID passport. You remember that?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And it was, I think March 2020, and still today, one year and, 4 or 5 months afterwards, there's still no passport, even though it was something envisioned very early by, some, is not yet in place. So this means we should not underestimate that sometimes being early is not necessarily good. So,
Right.
because we're envisioning things that for sure will happen, we don't know when, and the when matters. So right now, I mean, it's more important, I think, to take steps into this direction rather than doing everything,
That's
to have
right.
it solved.
Yeah, and you make a good point. That's why software companies do version. That's how we went from the iPod to the iPhone 12, right? We did it in incremental steps. And it's that early step. We go back to this all the time. Would you, knowing what you know now about this massive global logistics company called Amazon, go back, if you could transport back, Back to the Future style.
Back to the Future, yeah.
And you met this kind of crazy guy named Jeff, would you give him 10 grand? I'm pretty sure you'd be pretty happy if you did, right? And he's building this. He's a nut, like books. Okay, whatever, give it to him because you knew. And there's so many examples of that. There's so many, including Apple being an example of that, where Jobs could not ever get going. He said in 1982, he said, I don't believe in market research. Customers don't know what they want. You have to tell them what they want and give it to them. And he's not the first guy to say that. Henry Ford said, well, if I were asking customers what they wanted, they'd say a faster horse.
Faster horse, yeah.
Right? But I think we can, and then we can make a statement, and then we can label it Word from Here. I don't think customers. I do rather believe people. So we are wired in a way that the moment we ask ourselves a question, then we tend to believe what we answer because we just said. Is the way our human brain works. It's called
also
priming.
it's based on knowledge that you had prior.
Well, but it's a belief. It's a belief.
It's a belief.
Right?
Yeah.
So this means, as long as let's say if you don't ask a question or if you don't answer to a question, you might have a much more humble view of things and you can react spontaneously. But if you ask yourself or if you ask a question and then you answer, then your behavior is influenced by the question and by the answer. So that's why it's much more sophisticated when it comes down to analyze the behavior of people without asking, what do they like? What do they want? Because they might answer and they might behave differently. So that's why it's so right what it's saying. But to me, it's broader than it's people. It's the way we are wired.
It is people. Because the thing we know is we can jump, and I do this all the time on the Meet Certain platform we're on right now. I meet with my family on the same platform. I meet with my doing this live stream that we're doing today.
Right.
And anybody can do that. So there is your work from home, work-life balance right there. It's the same technology, completely different aspects of it, right? But the same kind of fundamental that I can access right from my wallet, right?
Right.
And if I want to record something, now I can record it, I can encrypt it, and it's stored. Think about that, stored immutably, and only I have the private key with the participants who also have the private key in that meeting to unlock that. How cool is that? So privacy, connectivity, family, work, life.
And it goes across all apps. It's not
people.
And if you think about how this work, like regardless of the complexity, which is pretty big in the back, so the more we move forward, I'm not fast forward in 2030, a few months ahead. So the more we're going to see the evolution of the user experience and the frictionless experience to the average user. So this means, right now, some experienced user might find it complicated or not, doesn't really matter. It's going to be better and better and better. So it's just a matter of coming back to the utility. The faster or the sooner you start using it, the better it is when new huge development will come, the next and the next and the next. It's just a matter of stepping in as early as possible and trying to understand the behavior and the mechanic, and then getting educated on the use cases to get the most out of it.
And so as we move forward and kind of get into that real big fundamental question, which is money and what it's going to look like in the future. What does it look like 10 years from now, Daniele? What does a central bank digital currency, CBDC, look like? What do you think that is actually going to look like? Because that's what's going to happen.
But I think we need to have a dedicated, probably couple of years of sessions or work from here about this subject.
Okay.
That's a long
too big a question. We'll leave that for the spoiler alert. But I think as we go through, what we know is that we're going to want to have this access. We're going to want to work with our friends. We're going to want to have all of our work as we showed. We're going to want to have all of that. We're going to want to have our instant messaging and our communications and our videos and everything. And you know what? If I need to access this wallet or that particular workspace or what have you, I can do all of that safely, securely, on my agenda, on my time. And that's really going to be like these big, giant implications for business. And this chart is really hard to read, but I'm going to kind of go through it. Again, McKinsey & Company, follow that. Go look at that. It's amazing the research these guys are putting out there, just free. It's just on the net. And you start looking at things like these countries, India, UK, US, EU. Think about, I think there's 1.35 billion people in the world that speak English right now. And so you start looking at, well, what are the trends? Increase in individuals receiving credit. This is by the thousands. Increased access to financial services. There's DeFi right there. The potential gains from open data, decentralized data for finance by 2030. Think about this. There you are, 10 years in advance, 2030. Time saved by MSMEs through automated KYC, ID certain. What we talk about right there. And millions of hours per year, 175 million hours per year by doing this ID certain thing that we're talking about. 175 million hours. Think about that in terms of life. I don't even know how old the Earth is. That's a lot of hours, right? The US, 29 million hours. The EU, 9 million hours. UK, 1 million hours. Increased deposit yields through easier account switching per account per year in dollars, right? In billions of dollars. Look at this. Improved product options, DeFi. Again, you can see these trends. You can see them. And we didn't write this. This is one of the most insightful, powerful consulting firms in the world that came up with this. Cost reduction from streamlined data entry into CRM3 systems. CRM3 systems. I've owned CRM3 since 2000, I think 2000. CRM3.com, right? So what are those CRM3 systems going to look like? Talk about being too early.
I think they've been watching your world from here too.
Yeah, I think so. So how many, what's the percent of financial sector revenue that's going to be saved in costs by doing this? And so forth. Fraud savings costs. Track certain, authentication, blockchain, immutable ledger. That's what all of this means. Targeting of collections teams towards high-risk borrowers, authenticating who the borrower is, and saying, how are we going to target those high-risk borrowers, and how are we going to ensure that we understand what their behavior patterns are to minimize losses? And finally, reduction in total ad impressions. Here's the advertising space.
This is in a kind of is a 2D picture, right? So it shows a couple of dimensions there. So what is interesting also to project further is the third dimension, which is exponentially growing, which is velocity of all these things. If you think about just money, because we were talking about money before. So money, thanks to the nature of the blockchain, it moves way faster than it used to be in the traditional fiat scheme. So by the time you have money that moves faster, interactions we deal with money accelerate even further. So you have a network effect that leverage upon the velocity. So this is the third, the fourth, or the fifth dimension on top of it. So that can project a huge acceleration over a period of time that I think no one can really imagine due to the complexity of these network effect interactions. And I don't believe, so from even in the Web 2.0 era, let's say Facebook, let's say the new economy era, these network effects were so quick because of COVID, because we live 80%, 90% of our lifetime online, connected via tools like this. So the velocity of the interactions we're having now, thanks to the advancement of the technology, allow all those ecosystems to grow at a speed that we cannot really measure because...
Or even imagine. We've never seen it before. We've never seen it before. And, is it 2030? Could it happen in 2 years? Well, that's what happened with COVID.
I mean, just to give an example, of a very nice thing, NFT. This 2021, all people talking about NFT. Is NFT something new? No. 2017, NFT congested the Ethereum network. You remember, right? CryptoKitties. So NFT, born, back in 2017. What happened to NFT from 2017 to 2021? Most of the people don't know, or almost nothing. But because of what happened in COVID, all in a sudden you get exactly the same product, kind of, that took off.
Boom. Took off.
Even though it was existing for years, in a very short period of time, because of a trigger, it went to the roof. Right now, the market cap of NFT as a business is growing 100% every quarter right now.
Wow. 400% a year.
Yeah. 400% a year. And perhaps in 2 months' time, we can say 150% every quarter. So it's going, higher and higher. So this means you have some legacy, and that's the beauty of technology that leverage on the network effect. You have things that are going this way, and people say, hey, well, it's there since a couple of years, nothing really happened, so that's fine. And then all of a sudden, because of a trigger, in this case, COVID, you have an exponential growth in a matter of days or weeks. So that is technology today.
That's right. And that's a really good point, not only how quickly it can and does happen, but it goes back to that old saying, overnight success takes a very long time. And this infrastructure that it's taken to get here, for us, well over a decade of work to get here. And then all of a sudden, COVID hit, and boom, like my life became so much easier when people said, well, what do you do? I said, I do this. And they're like, really? I'm like, well, yeah, it's kind of what I've been doing for the last 5-7 years. But they're like, really? All of a sudden you had attention. And same thing with DeFi, right? 2018, and within just a few months, it went over $1 billion. It kind of labored around in this world of non-understanding. Even Bitcoin did that in the beginning. Yeah. Well, for years, it was just this weird kind of thing you heard about every so often. And then all of a sudden, boom, there you go. So the idea being that this won't happen. This hasn't happened all at once. And it won't happen completely everything we've talked about today won't happen all at once, but it will happen. That's the point we're trying to make here, is we are there. And I just love this quote to wrap this up, which is, in the midst of chaos, there is also opportunity. Sun Tzu, The Art of War, right?
Art of War. Yeah.
And there you go. We talked about travel. We talked about COVID. We talked about work and meeting and collaboration and work-life balance and WFH, hashtag WFH, work from home or world from here, because that's what the world from here is. And we talked about currencies and this idea of digital currencies converging on the world from here. And obviously at the center of that, who's in control of all of that, right? And I think really the point I want to end with today is you're in control. If you're the individual, you're the wallet holder, you now have your pipeline into that inclusion ecosystem, which is why we say cloud power to the people, right, Dan? That's really what this is.
Yeah, absolutely. Cloud power to the people, and also always starts with the wallet, and that's what you're going to be seeing through July and August here at Blocksearch, is the other connections that are going to be made through the wallet to protect what's important, as well as to access things that are even more important. And there are some amazing things that I've seen happen a year as well due to this. Even personal connections. The other night I was on the phone with Chitra in India, and she was sharing with me, walking around, sharing where she works and where her husband works. And it's kind of cool to make a connection with people that you otherwise might not have connected with, across the globe. And it just puts a connection point to those that you work with and those that you don't work with because of the new technology.
And she's doing that, but right, again, from your Meet Certain app, right?
Exactly. We're doing that from our app, access through our wallet.
Yeah.
So a new day of work, a new way of work. And that's why, Apple should listen to their employees, because there is a way to get productivity and to culture. Have that work-life balance, as you were saying, Tim.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
So awesome. So we'd like to wrap up. Thanks so much for joining us, everyone. And please subscribe if you haven't done so already. And definitely click on the thumbs up button. And we'll be back here next week with another World from Here. And join us on any of our channels with Blocksearch on Telegram and Blocksearch Buzz on
Twitter.
And we'll be back here again. So Tim,
and
as you always say,
stay safe, stay healthy. We're not through this yet. Japan's locking back down, and we got the Olympics coming up. So stay healthy, try and get vaccinated, keep those protocols going. And once you get vaccinated, let us know so we can get that vaccine certified up on your wallet. And that'll be rolling out, as Dan says, in the next couple of weeks. So stay digital.
And one last remark. Remember to support Italy this Sunday against England for the Euro Cup.
There you go.
The final. So that's very important. Italy will win.
Go Italy. And congratulations, US. You beat Canada, but it was a tough game.
Absolutely.
It was. Okay. Thanks everyone. Thanks for seeing you again.